Well, good day, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to our workshop on the art of developing discussions, building thought, community, and engagement through conversation, debate, and dialogue. My co-host Daniel thought that was a very long title, but the reason that I titled it that way is because it's the truth. Our discussion forums are very much the heart of an online classroom, and creating that sense of engagement and connection for the students, especially in asynchronous courses. So we wanted to talk to you today about, how to really create robust discussion, that you structure your discussion assignments. So my name's Jacqueline Chauser. I'm a senior instructional designer that was brought onto the academic technology team to help support the faculty with their transition to distance education. And that's my one of my areas of expertise. And I will let Daniel introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel Jason. I am an instructional designer with academic technology, doing similar thing to what Jacqueline's doing. I'm here to help everyone transition to the fully online environment that we are now in today.
So I'll just briefly go over the goals of our presentation today. We would really want to answer the four following questions as we go through this workshop. First and foremost, what is a discussion assignment, and what type of discussion questions will prompt critical thinking, dialogue, and debate? How do you structure that discussion assignment? There is a formula that we'd like to teach you today to help you not only create better discussion questions, but to make it faster and easier for you to do so. And then what exactly are the elements of a well-constructed discussion assignment? We have a couple of different components, but one of the things that we're going to do for you guys is to actually go through the process. Daniel is going to be serving as the subject matter expert for history, and I'm going to be serving as the subject matter expert for instructional design, to let you guys actually see us go through the cognitive process of how to write a really well-constructed discussion assignment. So we thought that would be entertaining for you guys to just kind of see how we do it through that conversation, and you'll be able to see both lenses applied, both from a content perspective and from an instructional design perspective. But before we jump in, I like to have our workshops be very interactive. We encourage you guys to ask questions. Hugo will be monitoring the chat room. So if you want to chat a question, Hugo can try to respond. If it's something that's more based on theory, Hugo will let me know. And we'll try to make sure we get your questions addressed. But we want to encourage you to participate and and talk to us, ask questions. You're not going to interrupt our flow or anything like that. I basically just have a checklist of things I want to show you guys and talk to you guys about. And if your questions prompt me to go in that direction anyway, I'm perfectly happy to address your questions throughout the presentation. So don't be shy. But I would love for you guys to open up your mics and introduce yourselves. And we'd love to know who you are, what subjects you teach. You could just give us a brief rundown. Also, what brought you here today? Like, why were you interested in this topic? So I will pause now, and like I said, please open up your mics and introduce yourselves.
I'm Sohaila Shakib, and I was in the last week's session. I'm a sociologist. I've been teaching online since 2008, and I just really want to learn how to improve my classes and take advantage of everything that the university has to offer. And I'm doing that ACUE online year-long course with the university as well, which has been very helpful.
That's great. Thanks for joining us again.
Michelle Burry here from Art and Design, and I teach design. We have a lot of critiques, and I'm interested in improving my discussion format as well. Thank
Nice
you.
to have you back, Michelle.
Hi.
Steve McFarland, I teach labor studies. Interested in using discussion boards, which I haven't really experimented too much with.
Okay.
All right.
Timothy Chen, I'm a professor in the English department, and I'm teaching 3 classes online now. They're literature classes. I'm using discussion boards currently, and they're going okay, but I'm interested in learning how to use them better. One of the challenges is to, is the time demand in terms of monitoring those discussions and grading them and sort of checking in on them and so on. So I'm just here to learn more.
Great. Well, we will address that. So hopefully the part that I talk about with the rubrics and how to set those up will help you as well.
My name is Jack Han from a computer science department. I've been currently teaching some software engineering and the software development project. We have a lot of students working on the group projects, and we also have discussion topics. The in-person classes, the most students can discuss together, but in online classes, they have no way to discuss. I believe, Blackboard as a discussion board will give us the tool for students to work together. That's why I'm here. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Can I go?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. My name is Wafa Kasaune. I teach in the School of Nursing. I've been teaching online for 4 years, and I'm interested to know more about discussion board and how to make sure I engage my students. So I would like to see what's going on, since 50% of my classroom has a discussion board online, and it's 100% online course. So I would like to improve my course and see if there's a way I can do that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can I go right now?
Yeah, Catherine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Catherine. My name is Catherine. I'm teaching in APP, Asian Pacific Studies. I've been teaching online for like maybe 4 years, but this year is like everything's online, so it's very, very different from before. And I'm using Blackboard, but I found out actually the Blackboard discussion is not real discussion, because basically the student just responds to my prompt rather than they are so there's no student to student like discussion. There's always like student versus professor, but not student to student. So I want to learn more. How can I like engage more students that they themselves can discuss more? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Juyeon Song. I teach child development, and it's my first year teaching online, and I've been trying to include more a lot of discussion activities, but it's very limited. I think it could be more interactive and more engaging. So I would like to learn more about different strategies to improve the interactions among the students.
Wonderful.
Hello. Can I say?
Mm-hmm.
My name is Bin Shu. I'm from Management and Marketing Department. I teach online courses for over 10 years, and I use the discussion board. And recently, I found a lot of students do not interact actively, and they just reply with using a simple sentence, and they didn't put a lot of thoughts. So I want to resolve this problem.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Hugo, can you do me a favor? I'm getting another message from Stephen Albert. He's saying he didn't get the meeting invite again. Would you be able to assist him? Okay.
See if I can find his info.
Yeah, because remember he had like I think he's expecting to get that invite to that was like the Lerman legs
I can
thing.
I can email. I emailed him last time. I can do it.
Okay, thank you, Stella.
Yep.
I'm sorry, everyone. Sorry to interrupt. I think we had another faculty member that wanted to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Katie. I'm from the theater and dance department. I've been doing so well this semester without discussion boards really, but next semester I'm teaching a 100 class, and I'd really love a way for a larger class to discuss amongst themselves as well as sort of directly with me. So really what other people have said of engaging conversation between the students themselves.
Wonderful. Do we have anyone else? Okay. Well, thank you very much for sharing. You know, it's just very nice for Daniel and I to know who's joined us today and to get a sense of what you're trying to accomplish based on the subjects you're teaching, because the fact of the matter is discussion assignments are very unique. They have to be handcrafted. There's a lot of different ways that you can approach them. And so are we going to be able to cover every possible scenario? No, it's a very deep topic. But what I do want to reiterate is that Daniel and I are here to help you guys with this stuff. It's not, you know, as instructional designers, we want to work with you one-on-one to actually, you know, craft your discussion assignments. And after a while, you'll start to kind of get a sense of like the rhythm of them and the pacing of them and how to structure it from an instructional design perspective, not just how to set it up, you know, in Blackboard. We really do want to be here to help you with the theory of instructional design and distance education best practice. So we're going to give you a taste of what can be accomplished with a discussion forum. And if you would like additional assistance for your specific use case, we'll give you our contact information at the end of the presentation. So let's get started. So we called this next section, Please Make Me Think.
It's in contrast to our last presentation, which was Don't Make Me Think.
Right. That was trying to remove the barrier of technology from, you know, the learning environment. But in this case, with discussion assignments, the point is to make the students think. So in reality, discussion assignments are very much a core part of the vibrancy of a distance education learning experience. They offer students the opportunity to facilitate and exchange their ideas and their perspectives. It gives the, you know, faculty the opportunity to engage with their students. And it also gives students a chance to kind of formulate their thoughts and ideas and talk to each other and kind of poke at each other and engage each other in a way that gets them past simply consuming opinions of the quote unquote experts, right? It's really a chance for them to extend the thought through through conversation. So if you're writing a discussion question where you're basically asking them to just do a mini essay and kind of just regurgitate what they're hearing or what they're reading, then you're not crafting a discussion question that is genuinely driving at that purpose that you're trying to serve through discussion. Because if you think about it, when you're in a classroom and you want to ask a question that gets students really talking to each other and really challenging each other, that's getting them to engage with the resources and with the thoughts that you're trying to share with them on a much deeper level. So I'll pause there just to see if Daniel has any thoughts to add.
As someone who has taken online courses before, I found that discussion forums were one of the highlights of the course, where I was able to talk with all my peers and exchange ideas, or not even just, you know, have the debate as to, oh, I agree, I disagree, but to also offer up different perspectives on the same idea. So it doesn't always have to be a debate where someone's right and someone's wrong. A lot of times my responses and everything and the responses I received were oh, I agree with you, although I thought about it this way.
Right. And that's really when discussion forums can become quite exciting. The other thing that I like about discussion forums is that if you have students that are shy and don't like to speak out in class, you might find that you'll be able to interact with these students in a way that you would not have been able to in person, because with discussion forums, it gives students the opportunity to really think and research and formulate their ideas and present them in a way that are much more cohesive than they might have done if they were just put on the spot. And so I have found that for students, and I have that type of personality, when people ask me a question, I have a tendency to take a few minutes to kind of arrange my thoughts, my ideas about what I want to say. And that can be sort of frustrating, both for me and people that I'm talking to, because they'll ask me a question. If they expect me to just give them an answer, it's just like, well, no, that's not the way my brain processes things. So for students that are more introspective, you might find much more access to these individuals than you would have in a traditional environment. So that's another benefit to having well-constructed discussion assignments as a part of your classroom. Okay, so I believe, Daniel, it's your turn to drive, because we're gonna jump into the demo environment and we're gonna show you what our discussion question looks like. And we're gonna talk about the elements of a discussion question so that you can, if you wanna take notes, these are gonna be the main things that you're gonna wanna have as part of, your write-up for your discussion assignment.
All right. So can everyone see my screen? We're all good? All righty. So welcome to our course. This looks very similar to the course we had last time for those who were here for our last workshop, because it kind of is. This is a copy that we made. But this time we're going to go more in depth into the discussion forum and the different parts of actually making a discussion prompt and how we think that it should be structured, or just the basic outline on things that you need to include. So first things first, we are going to make our, just to get started, to get access to any discussion forum, the way you do it is on your left-hand navigation bar. If you go all the way down to course management under course tools, you will find that there is a discussion board. You click on that. And then you click on the name of your course. It should have the most forms, by the way, but just the name of your course. So ours is discussion demo. And this is your course discussion board. This has every assignment or form or anything related to discussions. The one that we will be looking at is this one, was a specter haunting Europe, which is the example that we made for this course. We decided to do this because we developed this course as a introduction to Cold War history. So this is our example of what a prompt should look like that students will be responding to. Jacqueline, do you want me to go into the details, like the intro, et cetera, et cetera?
Yes.
All right, great. So let's do this. So the first thing that should be included, so when you make a discussion forum, you put in the title, and you need to have a catchy title. We love rhetorical questions here, so we use rhetorical questions, but you can put in a title that describes or looks at the scope of of the assignment, whatever you'd like, just as long as it has something to do with it and is somewhat catchy.
Right, because the beginning component of your discussion question is what we like to call the hook. Mm-hmm. So that's why we kind of come up with a catchy title, because it is a discussion. And so what do you discuss but to answer a question? And so we come up with a title that will kind of engage them and be connected to the topics and the resources for that week. So here we ended up saying the ideological guide between communism and capitalism has existed since the 19th century and still persists to this very day. Yet there is a robust debate in the historical community as to whether the Cold War became a reality after World War II or if it was merely long established divide between East and West. So we're trying to like get them thinking about the topic. So this is really where you introduce that particular topic. Now, the next piece that from there is for this discussion assignment, review the following. This is really the resource reference. You don't necessarily have to give them another quote or additional resources, but this is the component where you're going to connect the resources that they should be referring to the discussion assignment itself. So what Daniel and I did was we made sure that the discussion assignment already had the resources available to the students, and that part of the discussion assignment purpose is to make sure that the students are consuming their resources and that they're actually doing their reading and thinking about the reading that we gave them. So this particular component is where you're going to make a reference to that resource that you want to make sure that they read. So if there's like one or two resources that they should have read, you're going to want to refer to a specific quote or something from the text so that they know what they're supposed to be considering.
Yeah, to add on to that, this is where, you might point to a specific example or a specific quote, or even if, well, it should have, my bad, it should have something to do with the discussion assignment, of course. But this is where you also like say, see, this guy or this person is talking about this, whether it is in the material that you assigned or not. And then that leads to the actual question. I guess I'll continue. So basically we said here is after reviewing the material, please consider the following. And this is like the prompt. And this is like the questions that we want them to ponder. We want them to think about when they're answering their discussion question. So for us, we said, was the Cold War foreordained? Were the East and West already engaged in an ideological war, which was simply put on hold to fight the greater evil of colonialism during World War I and World War II? Or was the World War II a catalyst for the Cold War? It's all these these questions that we want them to at least think about and point to and answer in their response. And while this is the question, there is the actual assignment, which comes next within the same section. And for this one, we said this part always starts off with for this assignment. Basically because this is what you want them to specifically focus on. And this is what, if I'm the professor, this is what I want them to answer exactly.
Yeah, this is what I want them to do. So if you scroll back up a little bit, Daniel, everything that we're doing here with the discussion assignment is built in layers. So we're going to start off by saying, okay, here's the topic. I want to start to get you, engaged in the topic. This is what we're going to be discussing here. But next it's like, okay, but these are the resources that I want to connect you to that I already assigned you that you should have read. I want to make sure that you're doing your reading. But after that, the next layer is to start prompting their thinking. What should they be doing cognitively? What should they be thinking about before they move on to the actual assignment? But when you get to the component down here where it says for this assignment, this is what I want them to do, physically do. Okay, I've already prompted their thinking. I've already referred them to the resources to make sure that they're doing their reading. And then here's what I want you to start to do with your brain. And then after that, now I'm going to tell them, okay, in order to get your points, in order to actually be graded for this discussion assignment, I want you to formulate an opinion on whether the Cold War was a byproduct of the events of World War II or whether this ideological war was foreordained. So the part where I'm saying formulate an opinion, that's the action portion of the sentence. So they need to, this is what I'm asking them to actually do. So the top part is, here I'm introducing you to the topic. I'm referring you to your resource. I'm prompting your thinking cognitive.
No, where'd she go?
From this week's assigned resources, as well as one independent resource. So that's another part of the do is, I want you to also do your own research. And that's really what's going to be connected to the rubric in terms of how they're going to be graded. And then after that, if you scroll down a little bit more, Daniel, this is where we get into our boilerplate instructions, which is also connected to your rubric, where I'm telling them very specifically, I want you to be turning stuff in by 9 p.m. on Tuesday. The reason we set it for Tuesday is that we give them Monday to consume their resources and do their reading and stuff like that. And then part of Tuesday as well. But you want them to turn in their initial posts early on, because for the students that end up lagging and turning in their discussion questions later in the week, they end up, not a lot of students end up really responding to them or reading their discussion posts. And so they're the ones who have a tendency to struggle in terms of like engaging, the other students, because the people that turn in their work on time are going to have a far better experience with regards to being responded to and having other students to respond to as well. So that's why we set it early in the week. And I say I want it in by 9 p.m. on Tuesday. And that's actually a part of my rubric, which I'll show you in a little bit. But, we put in the boilerplate instructions, like here's when you have to have your initial post. And then I make sure to have specific requirements about like, hey, I want it answered in complete sentences. I want references to your required resources. That connects back to the, upper part where I want to make sure that they're doing their reading. And then I also want them to do a little bit of their own research. So I make sure that I spell out exactly what I'm going to be instructions. You need to also say, you have to respond to at least 2 people by 9 p.m. on Thursday. And this is where, like, why I was saying that the students who turn in their discussion assignments late start to struggle with regards to engaging in robust dialogue. Because if they turn in their work late, people just have a tendency to not respond to them. But so I say, put it in by Tuesday. I want you to respond to 2 classmates by Thursday. And then I also say, I want you guys to go back in and look at people's responses to you. And I want replies to those responses by 9 p.m. on Sunday. So all of those things are aspects of the grading rubric. And that's part of how I make working through the discussion prompt compulsory, so that they know that you're going to get points for all of this, all this work I'm asking you to do, because it's not just about, just, hey, give me a couple of sentences and, copy and paste a link from some website you looked at. I think I usually also will put, although I realize I didn't do it here, is if there's any formatting criteria, like if it needs to be APA or MLA, whatever your criteria is, you should probably put that in there as well. Just, so they know how to format their references, which I believe we did on our sample response. But yeah, anything that you're expecting of them, just make sure that you put that in your boilerplate instructions, and then you'll be able to just copy and paste that for each time you write a discussion assignment.
Yep.
Anything else you want to add, Daniel?
No, I think that kind of covers it all. That you need, that these are the layers that go in, and this is for we will get into how to actually make the question and the assignment more in detailed. But first, before we do all of that, let's just go through the responses, what they look like, and
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just going to say that I wanted to pause and see if anyone had questions.
Thank you. I know last week we were in this classroom, and I was wondering if, and I know you guys sent us an email, and I apologize if you sent it already. Is there going to be a way that we can go and look at this particular classroom as well as the recorded session of this?
Yes.
Did you send us the recorded session from last week?
Yes, the recorded session should have been sent
Okay, I think I
already.
got that. I think I got that. I'm wondering, I'd love to go back in and look at this, when I have, on my own time as well. Is there any way we can look at this particular classroom, or do you feel uncomfortable with that and feel the recording is enough?
What we're going to be doing, because it's on my list. We wanted to get through this discussion workshop, but then afterwards, what we're going to do is we're going to make a nice, clean course package to distribute to any faculty that ask for it.
Okay.
So that you can, if you want to use this structure, and we're going to include in it a sample discussion question, kind of broken out like, Daniel, can you scroll down a little bit?
Yeah, it's like this one.
So where we basically have the components of what should be in the discussion question. We wanted to put that in the course before we distributed it, but it's on our list. We want to get it done, like I would say like middle of next week. We'll get it ready and sent out to anyone who wants it. So you'll have that. And then I do have another like sample course that I just moved over to a separate space that I can give you access to. So you can go in and poke around and check it out without a problem. Yeah. So
and then we're gonna get this video and this video too.
Yeah, you'll get the recording.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
So, and please, if you don't get it by like Thursday of next week, just email Daniel and I, and maybe CC Hugo as well. But we'll make sure that we get you those resources. We just weren't quite finished building them.
All right. Someone raised their hand.
Yes, that's me. Michelle, I have a question, and this is something that I have noticed this semester, especially, is having multiple deadlines within a week is really challenging for our students.
Well,
and so I wanted to know if other faculty are running into similar problems, and any suggestions for that.
Can I say something? I totally get that. So many students told me they couldn't, they are falling behind, something like that. So last week I decided I need to cut not only assignment, but I actually cut the modules. So I originally planning to have like 13 weeks, like 13 modules, but right now I cut it just to 10. And I also cut field assignment, like 3 chunk of assignments.
Yeah, because I see here that they have 3 deadlines with this discussion.
Jacqueline, here, give me 1 minute.
yeah.
The different deadlines plays off into what we talked about a little last week. Jacqueline, do you want me to go in and just explain it real quick, like a minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so all of these deadlines that you see here are all correlated to a course calendar we made that discusses how everything is set up and how everything, when everything is due. So for this one, this is our week 1, the example was our week 1 discussion assignment. We made it clear that everything is due on this day at this time, at this whatever. And then the other thing is we made it very cyclical. As you notice, that discussion assignments are always due at Tuesday. Discussion responses are always due on Thursday. Our other assignment, an analytical assignment, is due every Friday unless there's a group project, which is due on Saturday. Quizzes are Sundays. One of the things I've noticed is that some classes, the assignments tend to be like all over the place. Sometimes they're on one day, and then Wednesday, next week they're Tuesday, Thursday, or whatever. At least in my experience, I've had courses that have had several deadlines, but as long as everything is structured and almost cyclical, it would, after a couple of weeks, I'd be like, okay, well, every Tuesday I know I have this assignment, or every Thursday I know I have this assignment, and it just keeps going on and on in like that. That's one way to do it. I mean, of course, you don't want to put like assignments every single day, then to get students swiped, but
But by and large, you know,
yeah.
Retention is much improved when you have students engaging in the classroom on a regular basis. So what I do is I balance the workload. If I have a discussion, forum every single week, I want them logging in a couple times a week to engage with my class so that it stays on their mind. But if you're finding that your students are struggling with their workload, you can go back to your calendar. And that's why we like that approach, is like when you really sit and look at the calendar, it gives you an opportunity to think about, well, how many hours am I asking a student to spend on an assignment or in the classroom? Because if they're taking a 3-credit course, they should be working about 3 hours a week, every single week, at a minimum, to be engaged in the class. So it's just, the nice thing about being online is that you don't have to drive to campus and circle around looking for parking and so on, but they still need to spend enough time engaging with the content to earn their credit hours. So that's something else that you might want to consider. I understand that the students are stressed, and that's why we talked about usability and how to make it easier for students to get their work done without stressing out about how to get it turned in, or internet problems and stuff, like all those little things that come up to make it a barrier for learning. But they still do need to be engaging with their content to meet their credit hour requirements.
Can I say something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Michelle, that it's really, I mean, I've been hearing that from my students too. It's just really hard to keep track of everything, because many of them have obviously like 3, 4, 5 classes, maybe even more. And so if there are multiple sort of deadlines and assignments and things to keep track of, it's really hard when it's all sort of online. And I agree, one solution is that, sort of predictability of making things cyclical and so on. I understand that. And I also agree with what you're saying, that the expectation should be that students, kind of check in regularly. So I think part of it is, and I have a class that is both, it's a mix of synchronous and asynchronous. So we're not meeting every week, but, sort of, sometimes there's like maybe 3 weeks, or even 4 weeks where we're not meeting. And I think the temptation, or at least the tendency, right, for the student, but also for me, is to kind of let go a little bit and sort of not check in that regularly. And I think that's where, we get into trouble, the students, but also me in terms of grading and things like that. So, I think, it's obviously, a very complex problem, and one that is particular to this sort of online format that, we have to kind of figure out. So let me say that I think that, the calendar is probably a good idea, but when I did the online boot camp in the summer, and, I don't use the calendar now because it seems really complicated. It seemed like, if I'm teaching 3 classes, that the calendar, is going to be linked to all 3 classes. So is there an easy way to just have the course calendar be just linked to that one course, right? So that it's not like everything all in one calendar. Like I said, so I mean, if there's an easy way to use the calendar, that's one way I could say to my students, hey, here's the course calendar. Everything is kind of laid out. You just have to check it whenever you're not sure.
Yeah, and Timothy, that's a great question. I'm going to ask you to shoot Hugo an email, and he can send you the link to our usability workshop that we did last week, because that will really address the topic that was brought up. We've only got about 15 minutes left and we still have more to cover with regards to discussion assignments. So I don't want to let us get too far afield. But we can absolutely talk offline. You're welcome to schedule time with either Daniel or I. And we can help you with that. I just want to make sure that we at least get through the rest of what we wanted to cover for those that are here just to learn more about how to build discussion assignments.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
All righty. We'll continue very quickly with winged feet to the responses. So if you ever want to check responses, you can click here at the top of the discussion. And these are all the responses that someone's published. We see that student 3 has published a response. So we'll go into here. And this is kind of what a response looks like. We have student 3 has given us a response and has also cited sources that are within and outside of our assignment, of our assigned reading. So this would be the assignment. You can specify how long, short, what sources they need to use, things like that within your instructions. But for our assignment, this is what we kind of came up with. It would be an adequate response. And then what happens is students can respond to this. So here, student 2 said, good eye. All this, some other stuff agreed that communism after World War II was a big divide, or after World War I, helped spark a deep divide between everything. And then even the professors, which I highly encourage, professors can go and respond to as well. How about this one, that one, think about this. Basically, we just want to go through that. This is what responses look like, and this is the kind of activity that that we're trying to emulate and see. This would usually happen in a class, if everyone's sitting in a circle and another student would build off of what one student said, things like that. This is a way to keep the discussion going, and this is just what it looks like.
Can you click over to the rubrics briefly?
Yes, so we are going to cover rubrics real quick. So Jacqueline will go and explain about rubrics.
Okay, so when I create rubrics, I do attach them to the discussion question so that it makes it faster for me to grade, but I also want to make sure that I publish the rubric to the student so that they are aware of how I'm going to be evaluating them for their discussion assignments and what they need to do to get full credit. And the reason that I weighted it the way that I did is, as I was kind of mentioning earlier, I need the students responding in a timely manner so that they're able to generate activity and conversation. And for the students that turn in their work too late, they really will end up not getting very many students that even look at their post. And so they feel disappointed by the fact that no one really read what they had to say or responded to them. So I actually weight the grade at 25% for turning in their work on time. The other thing is that because I'm using the discussions as a check on whether or not they're reviewing the resources that I gave them and doing their reading, is I want to make sure that they properly support their argument, or their comments, and make references to the assigned readings. So I also put that at a 25% weight. Then from there, I put 20% on whether or not they responded to at least 2 students to make sure that they are engaging with each other. And after that, I say, well, were they engaged in the discussion? So for this, I'm asking them to go back and actually comment on their, fellow classmates' comments to their post, and just, really building in those layers of, I expect you to be checking in. I expect you to be getting your post in on time. I want it to be thoughtful. I want you to prove to me that you're consuming your resources and thinking about them and making reference to them and doing some additional research and really extending that thought. But really a lot of the rest of my criteria is about that engagement, that conversation. I mean, are you going back in? Are you checking? Are you reading what people are saying to you? Are you actually responding to what people are saying to you? Are you extending the thought? So the last thing that I do is I put in a column just with a small percentage, just 10% of, did you successfully engage the class in conversation? So Daniel, if you can pop into the spot where we can show our attendees how to check on how many people are even responding to your discussion questions. That last column is really about
Yeah.
how many people, you know, how much activity did you generate through your conversation? So if you go into the discussion forum, you can see right there under unread posts or, you know, replies to me or total posts, that'll show you, that'll just give you a sense of how many people are even responding to this particular discussion thread. And if you go into the students, you know, actual post, you can see like just based on general activity, that will give you a sense of like, you know, if they earned that extra 10%, because a lot of, you know, they managed to post a reply that generated enough interest and enough conversation that they had a lot of activity. So that's basically how I break down that rubric.
Yeah. All right, let me.
All right.
All right. We can, if there are more questions with the rubric or how to check and see how many responses a response is getting, by all means, please contact us. There are more than one way to go in besides, you know, going through every question and looking.
So we only just have a couple of minutes left. Let's just go ahead and build a quick discussion question for you guys so that you can see the process.
All right. So this is what happens is you end up here. We explained how you got here through the left-hand navigation bar, discussion board, group, and now you're in your main discussion board, headquarters. To make a new one, to make a new forum, what we're going to do is we're going to go to create forum up here. Make sure your edit mode is on so you get this nice blue banner. You're going to go to create forum. And this is where you create the form. So here you'll put the name. We're not going to put anything just yet because we do have a copy of the shell that we have. So we'll use that. But if you're going to make a form, you put in the name, you put in the description, which is which was, you know, all the assignment information that we had. From here, it's fairly standard. If you have availability things that you want to restrict, here it's where it is. If you want it graded, make sure that under form settings and grade, if you want the form to be graded, make sure that this is selected, grade discussion forum. Make sure that you have points possible. And if you have a due date for this, if you have a due date for the forum, you put that here. This does not mean that the form will be closed. It just means that no one will be able to view the form ever again. It just means that no one can add to the course.
Well, no, what that actually does, Daniel, is it populates the dynamic calendar. So
yeah, that too.
Set a due date for when you want their initial forum to be, their initial discussion question.
Oh yeah, that's right. This is weird.
Yeah, so if you click that and you can set a date, and then that'll populate the dynamic calendar so students can keep track of when they have something due.
There you go. All right, there you go. And then after that, if you have a rubric like the one we made, you can put it here as well.
Go ahead and click select rubric just so they can see how to do it.
There you go.
Okay.
So can you see the pop-up?
Oh, I don't think we can. That's right.
All right. Well,
get a pop-up window and you'll just be able to select the rubric for your discussion forum, which is the one I just showed you.
Yep.
All right.
So we're gonna get rid of that. Cancel here. All right. Now we're going to use this one that we have here.
And when you're working on a discussion question, I always encourage you to start it in a Word document And then that way you're able to just copy and paste. So if anything crashes on you, you don't lose your work, because, you know, the writing takes a while.
Yeah. So to do this very quickly, this is about, so my question is about the 1973 coup in Chile during the Cold War. So I'm going to copy and paste some stuff real quick because I have a quote. Whoops. I do have a quote. And I do have kind of a question.
Okay, so what is our question?
All right.
How do we want to prompt their thinking?
So the question I have is that. So for those wondering, there was a coup in Chile during the Cold War, and there's a huge debate as to why was it caused. Was it the Americans' fault? Was it internal conflict? Was the Soviet Union involved? So the question I kind of want to say, the question I would want to pose my students in my classes, who is responsible, or what is responsible, and on top of that, to what extent were different nations or different things the cause of the coup?
Okay. Now, all right. So,
oh, I should probably submit this and switch it back to you. All right, Jacqueline.
okay. So this is really the process that we're going to consider. How do you construct this question? Okay, so we've got the quote. All right. So who is responsible for the coup? To what extent was the Cold War, US, USSR responsible? So we're asking him to consider that. Are we talking more about who or why?
There's the question is like, yeah, it's mostly who for the most part, not why did it happen, but like who is responsible.
Okay. So who is responsible for the coup of,
say, 1973?
1973. Which country was this again?
Chile.
In Chile. Okay.
Yep.
To what extent was the Cold War? Okay, do we want to ask about the Cold War, or again, are we focusing on who?
I think it's something that they would need to ponder, because it is in the context of the Cold War. But I guess the Cold War isn't a who necessarily.
All right, to what extent is the United States and the USSR responsible for, I don't know, how would you want to put that? For
the destabilization
of Chile.
Of the Chilean government, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I suppose that's not a proper noun.
Mhm.
Okay, so now we've asked them something to consider. Now, is that what we want them to consider, or so then what do you want them to do? You want them to form an opinion?
Yep.
All right.
They need to make an opinion and tell me. I want them to talk to me or tell me, do they think
what are we asking them to form an opinion on? Do you want them to decide?
Well, I guess the formal question would be on whether outside, or I guess, geez. I want them to form an opinion on whether internal conflicts were the problem or external factors were the problem. And was it both, none? Well, what wasn't none? Was it both? Was it only one? Was it another? That sort of thing.
Conflicts led to the, was it a revolt? Oh, the
Coup.
Chilean coup.
Yeah. Revolt comes before that, a different story.
Okay. So for this discussion assignment, form an opinion. Help if I actually wrote form. An opinion on whether internal or external conflicts led to the Chilean coup. So again, this is the part, you know, of the discussion question where this is what we're asking to do. This is what we want them to consider to prompt their thinking, but this is what they actually need to do. All right, and then we should just be good with boilerplate, right? After that.
Yeah, and then after that, if you have any specific, so what comes after that, if there's a specific thing, if I want you to consult a specific source or whatever,
right,
or there's something specific to this question. So maybe after that question, after that sentence, you can put please cite or whatever, and then or I was also thinking, please consider, you know, the United States involvement or something also would work.
Yeah, but the considering part's going to be up here.
Yeah.
Okay, but all right. So for this discussion assignment, form an opinion, blah, blah, blah. That's what we wanted to do. Please cite at least 2 of your assigned resources and 1 external resource.
Yep.
These resources must be formatted in Chicago manual style.
Yep.
Because we're history nerds.
Yay, history nerds.
I know. Okay. Oh, wait, I didn't want that to be bold. So after we've gotten the components, now we need a catchy title. What are we thinking?
Yeah, so we have all of that. Make sure that it is all.
Oh boy. Okay.
Just go erase. Just use the nice.
I know. I'm just being a nerd. I hate it when everything isn't all properly formatted, but we're pretty much out of time. So catchy title.
Could be anything about, say, you could say the fall of Allende, or the fall of a government, the fall of a country, or the fall of Chile. That's another one. Make sure to also change the Make sure to also change the name of the thing.
Okay, so what do we want to say about this particular topic? Why is it important to this unit?
Um,
How does it tie into what they're studying for Unit 3, which I think mostly we're talking about Latin America and like.
yeah, we're talking about the, what is it? We're talking about the spheres of influence. So we can talk about.
Well, why does this matter?
Why does this matter? Because Chile is a good example, or a prime example, really, of how Cold War politics manifested in countries that were, or in other countries that were not the United States or the Soviet Union. This was a battle for influence in Latin America, or in the general area.
Mm-hmm. So Chile is a prime example of how Cold War politics manifested in countries all over the globe as the United States and the USSR battled for hearts and minds.
Yeah.
All right. We will not make our audience watch us type too much more, but I think that you guys can kind of see the point. There's just, again, introducing the topic. What is it we want them to consider? And what resources do we want to make sure they're connecting to for their discussion? And okay, now that you've considered those resources and you're interested in the topic, here's what we want you to think about. And then, of course, you have to actually write the assignment. What do you want them to do? You've already connected it to resources, got them, primed their thinking, but now you need to tell them what they need to do. And then from there, if you want them to include any additional resources and how you want them to format it, make sure that that's part of what you're asking them for. And then for your boilerplate instructions, this is really where you're just reiterating, here are your due dates. And it's these additional due dates where you're kind of forcing them to keep coming back to the discussion board, even if they're only spending a half an hour, looking at the responses to their response. But I find that the discussion boards are really the most vibrant aspect of an online course, especially if it's asynchronous, because it's a chance for students to ponder a topic. It's a chance for you to get to know them and see what they're thinking and see how they're engaging with the content. And more importantly, communicate with their classmates and build and extend their thought through that conversation. So I'll just click submit and voila, we have our new discussion assignment. So hopefully watching us go through the process of just how we were debating about what do you want them to think about, what do you want them to actually do, that sort of thing. I apologize for my horrible formatting, but I know we kind of ran over on time. So I'll kind of pause here and see, like, does anyone have any other questions for us about how to construct an engaging discussion assignment?
Jacqueline.
Yes.
Just real quick, how would I link this to a course item in my course?
Oh, I will show you. So when you want to actually put it inside of your unit, you're going to go to where it needs to live. And from there, all you need to do, see, I already kind of put a save spot for building a discussion, but all you need to do is pop into tools, click discussion board, and then it's automatically going to be set to link to a discussion board page. But if you select this button here, link to a discussion board forum, you can create a new forum on the fly. if you want to, but if you've already created your discussion board, you can.
So let's build a discussion because we need.
Yeah, that's the one that we just worked on. So you're going to select the discussion forum that you want, and you just click next, and you'll put your boilerplate instructions here again so that they know what their due dates are, and then click submit, and that will automatically link your discussion board onto the module that you want the students to complete the discussion in. And nobody has any other questions. Sorry about that. Where did my PowerPoint go? Great. So I just want to put our contact information up. If anybody wants to reach out to us independently, like I said, we're here to support you with any of your needs with regards to instructional design and distance education best practice. If you would like us to help you set up discussion boards or rubrics or quizzes or anything else like that, or even just work with you on improving your approach to working with your students over a distance, we're here for you guys. So thank you very much for joining today, and we hope to hear from you. Just feel free to reach out, and we'll set up consultations with you and help you with whatever you need help with.
Yeah, Jacqueline and I are both here. You just need to email us, and we'll respond pretty quickly.
You can probably stop the recording now.
Yeah, if there are no questions, then